Hello VC, what's going on? It's me, Will, and I'm back with a new video, and this one's gonna be all about my recent road trip to Athens, Georgia. And I ended up going there just for a couple of days last weekend, mainly to go see Tommy Stinson live. And as you may know, Tommy Stinson was a former member of the Replacements, as well as of Guns N' Roses when they reunited a few years ago. And more recently, he has been playing a lot of his solo material live, as well as his main project, Bash and Pop. And I'm a huge fan of the Replacements. I'm a big fan of Tommy Stinson as well. And I've seen him live a couple of times solo, as well as with his other projects, Bash and Pop and Cowboys in the Campfire. And he always puts some really fun and great shows. So I figured when he announced that he was going to be touring in the South this year, I went ahead and bought some tickets to go see him. And while I'm there, I might as well stop by some of the record stores over there. Athens is known for being a big music town, and they have some really good record stores as well. I haven't been there in a few years, so I stopped by there, and of course I picked up some records. So this video is going to be about my trip to Athens, what I picked up at the record stores there. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the Tommy Stinson concert in downtown Athens. So yeah, let's go ahead and drive to Athens. But before getting to Athens, how about a quick stop by Fort Yargo State Park in Winder, Georgia. It's on the way to Athens from Atlanta, and it's a great place to stop by just to enjoy the outdoors, take a hike, and go mountain bike riding in case you're into that, and just relax and take a break from the city. And the views are not as impressive in the winter when the leaves are out, but it's a great place to stop and enjoy the view. So as you may know, Athens, Georgia has a big history of music. They're mainly known for its big indie rock music scene from back in the 80s and 90s, with bands, big bands like the B-52s and R.E.M. coming all from that scene, as well as many other bands. So they have a couple of really good record stores there in Athens. And the main one that I like to go to is one called Walks to Records. It may seem like a small store from outside, but once you get in, it actually has a big hallway full of records. And they have new records and a great used record selection as well. So I always like going to that record store, and I picked up a couple of records there. This first one actually ended up almost blowing my entire budget for this trip, but I figured I would buy this one anyways. This one is the Replacements with the Complete Incarcerated Live. And this one came out just in 2020 on Rhino Records. But it is a live recording from the Replacements when they played live back in 1989 from the University of Milwaukee in Wisconsin. This is a really cool set. I ended up paying, I think, $43 for this one, so it was quite expensive, but it does have 3 records. It's almost a 2-hour long show for this one. And this one came out on Record Store Day in 2020. I missed out on this one. I figured it was just too expensive, but I've been on a big Replacements kick lately. I've been listening to them a lot. And I had not seen this one since it came out on Record Store Day in 2020, so I figured I would pick it up now before it sells out. Like I said, it has a triple LP. It's a triple LP record. Lots of songs there. Triple gatefold with words. Not only words from Bob Maher, who is the pretty much the official biographer of the Replacements. He literally wrote the book about the Replacements, which I'm actually reading right now. I just got this one from the library a few weeks ago, so I've been reading this one. Great book, by the way. I haven't finished it yet, but it's a really good book in case you're into the Replacements. So of course the Replacements were known for their wild and chaotic shows, and this record, I think it was perfect for someone like me that's just starting to get very seriously about the Replacements and never got a chance to see them live back in their prime, back when they were playing those wild and crazy shows, because it has this one really captures what the essence of the Replacements music was when they played live. But so it does have a lot of that craziness and wildness from those alcohol-infused shows, but it also has, it's not as wild that it actually impacted a lot of their music playing. So they were able to play all the songs in this one. And like as you can see, it has a big track list, so they played a lot of songs in this concert. Alright, then my second pickup from Walk Street Records was this one, was the Plimsouls with Everywhere at Once. And this one came out back in 1983 on Geffen Records. And as far as I can tell, this is an original pressing of the album. It came in with the inner sleeve with the lyrics. And the record itself came in on just the standard black vinyl with the Geffen labels. It was a little bit pricey. I think I paid $18 for this one, so it was a little bit on the pricier side. But I've never seen an original press of this record out there in the wild, and it was in really good condition, so I picked it up. And this one, they had a couple of Plimsouls records out there in the record store, but I went with this one because it included A Million Miles Away, which is by far their biggest hit and a great song from them. And you can easily see how influential this record was to modern pop-punk bands, mainly because it was just so pop-oriented and lots of great melodies on this one. But a really fun record to listen to as well. Great to add it to my collection again. The Plimsouls with Everywhere at Once. And my last pickup at Walk Street Records was just a cheap 7-inch single that I needed for my Linda Ronstadt collection. This one is Back in the USA with the picture sleeve. And the B-side is a song called White Rhythm and Blues. This one came out in 1978 on Asylum Records, and I only paid $2 for this one. They pressed and sold tons of this one, so these ones are usually pretty cheap to find. Black vinyl on the Asylum labels. Awesome track from Linda Ronstadt. Of course, it's a cover song from an original from Chuck Berry, but she puts her own unique voice on this one. It sounds great. And before leaving Walk Street Records, I actually picked up a couple of Walk Street Records postcards. They're just standard postcards. And these are by far some of the best artwork that I've seen for a record store postcard out there. I always look for this one. I actually collect record store postcards. But this one is some of the best ones that I've seen. So in case you want one, let me know in the comments. I'll send you one of these ones. Alright, so that was it for Walk Street Records. And my next stop was a store called Low Yo-Yo Stuff Records, also in downtown Athens. Really cool record store, but much smaller compared to Walk Street Records. They have a fantastic 7-inch single collection or selection there. I dug through the entire section of 7-inch singles for like an hour, and I found some really cool stuff. I have that I'll show you now. This first one is from Tommy Stinson, the same artist that I was gonna go see that same night. I thought it was a really cool coincidence, so I picked it up, of course. And I've never seen this one out there in the wild. This one is a single for It's a Drag. And this one came out originally in 2012 on Done to Death Records. And I also had him sign it at the show later that night. But more on that later. This one came out on just a standard black vinyl with the Done to Death labels. Really cool single. I had not listened to this one before. It's apparently a single from his initial solo project that was called One Man Mutiny. It's a drag, and the B-side is a song called Spork in My Ears, which was previously unreleased at that point. Really fun single, great to add it to my collection. Tommy Stinson and Replacements related collection, I guess. Next one was also an interesting pick. This one was an interesting find, I guess. It's the Pixies with the demo version of Debaser. And they issued a few singles for Debaser back in 1997. This one is one of them on 4AD Records. I actually own the CD version of this single, but I've never seen the 7-inch vinyl version of it, especially out there in the wild. So of course I picked it up, being a big Pixies fan. And this one has the demo version of Debaser, as well as the demo version of Number 13 Baby. Two great songs from one of the greatest albums ever made, Doolittle. Alright, next I also picked up, I found this single the 7-inch single from The Muffs, one of my favorite bands. This one's a single for Big Mouth. It came out in 1993 on Sympathy for the Records Industry Records. And I already own all the singles from the Muffs in my collection, but I decided to pick it up anyways, mainly because you don't see that many singles from the Muffs out there in the wild anymore. And because I've heard, or I learned a few years ago, that there's actually two different versions of this single out there. And I only had one, but I couldn't remember which one I had in my collection. But I bought it anyways, and when I came back home, I realized that my version that I had before was a different version. And I'll show you. This is my copy that I had from my collection before, and this is the one that I got now in this trip. And the one that I had before, if you look at the record itself, both of them are just on standard black vinyl. But if you look at the labels are different. This is the one that I had in my collection. It has just like the Sympathy for the Record Industry labels. And this one is the new one that I just got. And it is completely different labels. I don't know if the one that I had before was a repress, but this is the one that I just got now. Also Sympathy for the Records Industry labels, but with some additional artwork in one side, and side A has a picture of the band. So very, very different labels. But the two singles otherwise are exactly the same, with the same music and the same cover art anyways. Next I also picked up, and this one was a surprise find, it's the Coat Hangers. And it doesn't say anything about the single in the front, but it is the single for 143 and Arthritis Sucks. This one came out in 2010 on Suicide Squeeze Records. And this is actually a limited edition copy that came out back in 2010. And it's numbered as well, hand numbered. I got number 690 out of 750. And my pressing is just on standard black vinyl with the Suicide Squeeze labels. I've never seen this one before, especially out there in the wild. Of course, I'm a big fan of the Coat Hanger, so I picked it up. And I'm somehow familiar with the two songs here in the record. What I failed to see when I bought this single was that it is actually the remix version of both songs. They're remixed. So they're very electronic sounding remixes. So not the best versions of those two songs, but still cool anyways to add it to my Coat Hangers collection because I'm a big fan of the band. And last but not least, I picked up this one was a little bit of a fail from my side. It's the Joy Formidable, great band, great song, The Better Me. And this one came out in 2018 for Record Store Day on Sarah Dom Records. The fail was that I already had this one in my collection before. I completely forgot that I bought this one on Record Store Day back in 2018. So I bought it again at the record store. So, but either way, it's a really cool song, cool single. The B-side is an acoustic version of one of their older songs, Dance of the Lotus, on Coke bottle vinyl, translucent vinyl. So cool single, but I already had it in my collection, so I'm probably going to end up bringing it out for a trading at the record store in the future. Or if you want it, let me know in the comments, and I'll send this one to you. Again, the Joy Formidable with The Better Me. so after record shopping in Athens, it was time to go see Tommy Stinson live in Athens. And in my opinion, Tommy Stinson is one of the most interesting people and artists in music right now. And not only because he's very talented and he came from a big band like The Replacements, but I think it's because he's quite a character. He has a great personality. And he also doesn't like to play in normal music venues when he does his solo thing. Last year, or a few years ago, when I saw him in Atlanta, he did play at the bar, but he played during the day. He wasn't at night. But normally he likes to play like in people's backyards and weird places like that. So this show in Athens was actually at an old fire station. A fire station that's not used anymore, but apparently is part of historic Athens and as part of the history of Athens. So they have it for events, small events, wedding receptions, and things like that. But it is very small. I'll try to post some videos or some clips of the concert throughout this video, so you can see how it looked like. I think there were a maximum of 20 or 30 people in the audience, so very small. All acoustic. It was just Tommy Stinson playing, and before him, the opener was a singer-songwriter called Diane Gentile. She was great as well. So a very small place, very intimate, and one of the things that really caught my attention about that venue was that right next to the stage, or I say stage in quotes because it's kind of like part of the fire station, is they had like an old fireman's pole coming in from the roof, from the ceiling of the fire station. So it's the pole that the fireman used to go down from the second level down to the ground level. I thought that was really interesting, and it was funny when Tommy Stinson took the stage. He looked at the fire pole and he pointed at it and he said, "You know what? I considered going down that pole, but at my age, I wouldn't be able to pull that off." Which is funny because he's not really that old. I think he's only 55. He has been in music for a long time. I think he joined the Replacements when he was like 11 or 12. So he has been playing music for a very long time. And like I said before in the video, I've been reading this book, Trouble Boys, the history of the Replacements. And they talk a lot about how the Stinson brothers pretty much started the band. And Tommy was like really, really young when they were playing in all these bars and all these places. So he, like I said, he really got started at a very, very early age. And what is funny that in the book they also mentioned that they have a quote from Tommy Stinson saying that somebody asked them when the Replacements were getting big, was that, "Hey, what are you gonna do when the Replacements are over?" Because he was only like 15 or 16 when the Replacements were blowing up. And he just said, "This is it. This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life." He already had quit school. So he knew that he was gonna be doing music for the rest of his life. And he said, when the Replacements are over, well, you're gonna see me playing at the Holiday Inn, like at the regular hotel. And it's funny because now you could probably see him at very small places playing live his solo material, and at weird places and small places like the Fire Hall No. 2 in Athens, like I did last weekend. So as far as the show, it was great, as usual, coming in from Tommy Stinson. It was very fun. It was a very kind of like intimate experience, very conversational between Tommy and the audience, especially being at such a small place and with a very small amount of people in the audience. So it was really cool. He played a lot of songs from Bash and Pop, especially from their last album that came a few years ago, Anything Could Happen. He played a lot of the songs from that record, which I was glad because I thought that record was simply phenomenal. It has some excellent songs in there, like Breathing Room, Anything Could Happen, which was the closer of the set, and it's On the Rocks, which is my favorite song from that record. And he also played a few songs from his other solo projects. I don't think he played any songs from the Replacements, but yeah, that's fine because he's doing his own solo things. And yeah, nothing really much to say about the show, but it was great. I'll try to put a few clips here in the video so you can see some of the clips of the songs. And at the end of the show, as he usually does, he hung out with the audience, and I got a chance to say hi to him, and he signed my copy of the Replacements EP. This is the EP reissue that came out a few years ago. I think this one came out, well, originally came out in 1987, but it was re-released for Record Store Day a few years ago. And it's funny because in this one, in the picture, it has Tommy right there, and they show him peeing in the street. And he signed it saying, I am not peeing. I thought that was funny, and he signed it there. And like I said before, and like I showed you before, he also signed my copy of the single of It's a Drag. And he said, thanks for coming. And he signed the sleeve. So very friendly as usual, very funny, very fun to hang out with him. Oh, and by the way, in case you were wondering what kind of t-shirt he's wearing here, he did say when he signed it that the t-shirt said, "Fuck you, you fucking fuck." That's what the t-shirt said. And unfortunately, he doesn't have that t-shirt anymore, but he does have the nice scarf that he's wearing there. But yeah, super fun, great show as usual. Great to see Tommy live and keeping the spirit of the Replacements live out there, and even nowadays in 2022. If you get a chance to see him live, do not miss him. He did mention that he was going to release a new album this year in 2022 with his other project, Cowboys in the Campfire, and that should come out on Fat Possum Records. So hopefully we'll have some new music from Tommy Stinson soon this year. But yeah, that's it for my trip into Athens. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.